So there's no new news or progress in terms of our discussions directly with DirecTV. They've continued to show no interest in engaging in conversation, and every time I get asked the question, I feel required to sympathize with our fans and share our disappointment and frustration that DirecTV won't do it. We're up to 73 different distributors carrying the Pac-12 networks, most of the major ones, and DirecTV's been offered it on the same terms as all 73. So I don't have a good explanation for why they won't do it at this point. The glimmer of hope that we've had is that if the sale goes through to AT&T, and it's still in progress of being approved, that we could have fresh conversations with an entity that's already our partner. We have a partnership with AT&T on a couple of different levels. They carry the Pac-12 networks on the AT&T UVerse service, and in addition, they're the official telecommunications partner of the conference and our 12 schools and divisions. So we've got a very deep and multifaceted relationship with them, very positive relationship, and I hold greater optimism that those conversations would go well with AT&T than they've gone with DirecTV. So the glimmer should not burn out of hope, but we are waiting to see if that deal gets regulatory approval. We are in a very enviable position in terms of our television situation and our rights. What we were able to do in terms of our licensed rights with ESPN and Fox compared to where the conference used to be, comparatively and otherwise, was tremendous, and I think exceeded everyone's expectations. And the fact that we've been able to create and launch and have this early success with a network then that we own 100% of through our schools is really unprecedented in a world where it's very difficult to be an independent, and others in the college space have had to take on a partner to even conceive of a network, to launch a network, to have some early success with the network. We're always going to evaluate our position and the value of owning 100% of the network versus having partners. The beauty of where we are in a very dynamic world that's ever changing through technology and distribution, and the value is, we've got the ability to consider different models going forward if we want to. What's pretty clear is that the value of college sports rights continues to increase. It certainly has increased since we struck our deals in 2011, since we created the network. It's increased in value sitting here in 2015, and I'm certainly bullish on the value of college sports continuing to increase over the next several years. So I think we are in a very unique and positive position in terms of being able to own and control something very valuable that's increasing in value. I think your question was, are we wedded to? We're delighted that we've been able to do what we've been able to do, but as the landscape changes, if it makes sense to take on different types of partners down the road, we've got the flexibility to do it. I mean, scheduling is, always one of the hardest things to balance, and one of the most sensitive things, because you're trying to balance what's good for television, what's good for fans, what's good for the student athletes, all together. Our scheduling became much more complicated when we made the decision that we wanted to get greater exposure for Pac-12 men's basketball, and that we made a commitment to get every game on TV. We're a conference that 5 years ago was pretty rigid in just playing Thursdays and Saturdays, one window on Thursday, and a few windows on Saturday. And that was easy to do because we didn't have that many games on TV. We had only a fraction of our games on TV. Maybe a quarter of our games were on TV. When we made a commitment, and so we have over 200 basketball games that are broadcast now, and that required opening up more TV windows. So we went from playing every game at, let's say, 7 p.m. approximately on Thursday, to needing to play on average. I mean, every week's a little different. There are some exceptions, but needing to play 2 windows on Wednesday, 2 windows on Thursday, as well as to open up Sunday in addition to Saturday. So, and you have to do that so that you can make sure every game is available nationally. So that's required a lot of flexibility and adjustment on the one hand, and there's some trade-off. You realize that it puts some pressure on fans and the fan experience and attendance. By the same token, there's been a tremendous benefit for our programs in terms of the national exposure that they've been able to receive, especially, and I don't want to understate this, getting onto the ESPN platform. Our basketball was not on ESPN 5 years ago, and ESPN has certain windows available, given their other commitments. So we had to be a little flexible to make sure we're back on ESPN. So that's the, and I specifically speak about Wednesdays and Sundays. You see a lot of our ESPN basketball on Wednesdays and Sundays because that happens to be, windows they have available. So you get that on the one hand, and do we have some flexibility? We try to use our flexibility in our relationship with ESPN and Fox and the Pac-12 networks to make sure it's as fair and balanced as possible. But the idea that we're going to play at 6 and 8 on Wednesday and Thursday, there is not a lot of flexibility around if we're going to keep getting the exposure that we're getting. The other issue, which is related and you raised, is missed class time. When we designed the schedule, we did not contemplate that if a school plays away in a state on Wednesday, that they're staying in that state till Sunday. We very much intended that schools would utilize the increased resources they have to charter to get back. And in fact, that wasn't happening as much as we thought it should. So after discussions with our board, we made it a point of emphasis with athletics departments and coaches that we wanted to see them get back to campus after a Wednesday game if they weren't going to play again until Sunday. We want to minimize the missed class time. So we're going to evaluate that at the end of the season, see how many instances we had of programs and student athletes actually being away Wednesday to Sunday. And I'm hoping that it's happening rarely now, but if it's not, we're going to continue to address that.